Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and it is time for all the new releases in August that caught my attention. And I gotta tell you, there's a couple of my favorite authors on this list, including the very first book. That would be A Thief's Folly by Jean M. Dams. This is the 28th book in the Dorothy Martin mystery series. I have loved this series for a very, very long time, which is surprising given that it's well below my normal page count. However, if you like an elderly sleuth in a small English village, run, don't walk to start this series. So, I will read you the description for the 28th book. Dorothy Martin is enjoying a conversation in the garden with her neighbor and best friend, Jane Langland, one perfect June afternoon, when Jane suddenly has a stroke. Dorothy is devastated when she visits her friend in hospital and discovers that she is unable to speak, yet desperate to tell her something. No fireball. Is soon convinced there's something valuable hidden in Jane's house. But what is it? A thief targeting the house suggests they found it first. After identifying Jane's treasured and sadly stolen item, Dorothy is determined to track it down, even if that means embarking on a trip overseas. One thing's for sure, in taking on Dorothy Martin, this thief has made a huge mistake. The series is truly wonderful. I cannot recommend it enough if you need a palate cleanser. Okay, next up is The House of Boleyn by Tracy Borman. It is releasing on the 4th of August as well, and this one is 416 pages. I will tell you, I am incredibly interested in this book. When nobleman Thomas Boleyn, Lord of Havre Castle, is called to London in 1509 to present himself to a newly anointed King Henry VIII, he sets in train events that ensure the Boleyn name will never be forgotten. His daughters, Mary and Anne, were young then, and though he was ambitious for his family to prosper, he could not imagine what would transpire in the 2 decades to come. Understatement of the centuries there. Blending the history she knows so well with the creativity of her imagination, Tracy Borman brings the Boleyn's family's 3-decade rise and precipitous fall to vivid life. Borman surrounds the main dramatic events of the Boleyn saga with a colorful tableau in which the familial and the interfamilial rivalries threaten, and true love often loses out to keen ambition. Anne's ever loyal attendant, Esther Fridswide, and Thomas Boleyn's perfidious steward, Robert Cranwell, are as memorable as Cardinal Wolsey. Thomas Cromwell, or anyone in the increasingly dangerous orbit of the royal court, Henry VIII pursues Anne relentlessly, showering her with gifts as the Boleyns are catapulted to political prominence. But when she can't give him the son and heir he desperately seeks, the family faces a terrible and bloody fate. With lavish and compelling historical detail, Tracy Borman displays her keen gift for storytelling in this resonant novel of family, fate, and intrigue. You cannot tell me that does not sound fabulous. Okay, next up, just has a fabulous title. It releases the 4th of August. This is Time Travel for Beginners by Jacqueline Moriarty. I have never even heard of this author, but it is 544 pages, and I'm here for it. 3 strangers' lives are forever changed when they're all drawn to a mysterious agency claiming to have unlocked the secret of time travel. Anna, Teddy, and Jade are on a collision course. The agency is the cause. It is also the solution. On a quiet road nestled within the bustle of Sydney lies a nondescript storefront known simply as the Time Travel Agency. At once a confounding mystery and a beacon of hope, the agency seems to attract those who need it most. Single mother Anna is in desperate need of change, and the agency gives her the chance to begin her career and life anew. Teddy is a genius at salvaging businesses, but needs saving himself, and he's drawn to the agency, hoping to travel back in time to untangle his troubled childhood and his recently imploded marriage. Jade has no interest in the agency at all, because there's no way people are literally time traveling, right? Jade's present is challenging enough, with her spirited, increasingly bad tempered daughter and a deeply buried secret too painful for words. As Anna, Teddy, and Jade's path converge, the question of just how legitimate the agency's ventures into the past are becomes a mysterious, provocative, tantalizing, and even heart wrenching one to parse. But there's no denying that the ripple effects through all three of their lives are very, very real. Yeah, sign me up. Okay, next up, releasing on the 4th of August, and it was releasing on Kindle Unlimited, is The Castle in the Glen by Rhys Bowen. It is 424 pages. A ghostwriter plunges into danger as she unravels the dark secrets of a powerful Scottish family. Australian writer Emma Callender has been recruited to complete the final historical mystery in a series celebrated by author Iris Blackburn. It's 1965, and Iris's memory is fading. She is certain that only Emma can do justice to her novel about murder on the Isle of Skye. When Emma ventures to Scotland for research, she discovers the story is not fiction at all, but rather a true crime, unsolved for more than 50 years. It was 1904 when a couple's suspicious drowning led to the disappearance of a mysterious young woman the locals called the Wild Girl. To this day, the mystery is unforgettable, especially among the descendants of an aristocratic family who will do anything to keep their secrets buried. From the misty highlands to a medieval castle, Emma and Tony Gordon, Iris's handsome lawyer, work ever more closely to uncover them. But while Iris may be known for her fiendishly clever plot twists, there's one not even Emma could see coming. Need to know. Okay, next up, and also on the 4th of August, this is Death on the Books by Victoria Gilbert. It is the 10th book in the Blue Ridge Library Mystery Series. It is 320 pages. When a stranger falls over dead in the Taylorsford Public Library, clutching a crumpled piece of paper inscribed only with the words hen and sapphire, Library Director Amy Muir must once again investigate. She soon learns that the man is a personal assistant to Warren Sanderson, an art collector and dealer who just so happens to be visiting Kent Kendrick, the godfather of Amy's twins. When the autopsy reveals that the library patron was poisoned, suspicion falls on those who knew him, mainly Sanderson, his granddaughter Heather, and Kurt. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Amy digs into the contentious relationships between Kurt and the Sandersons. But as it turns out, suspects abound, and when Amy's best friend's boyfriend is implicated, the case becomes even more complicated. Amy's research ties the dead man's note to a lost treasure of the Romanov Empire. Then another person falls victim. With the bodies piling up, Amy knows better than anyone that killers often keep killing until they're caught, and she'll stop at nothing to get to the bottom of this tangled mystery. A lot going on for 320 pages, but we'll see how it turns out. Okay, next up, releasing on the 6th of August, is A Family Affair by Jodi Taylor. This is the second book of the Small Hope and Pennyroyal series, and it is time-traveling bounty hunters. With the dust finally settling after her near-fatal shooting, Lady Amelia Smallhope is looking forward to a period of rest and recuperation. They transfer her and Pennyroyal to plan their next lucrative adventure and drink margaritas in the sun. Yeah, like that's ever going to happen. An unexpected phone call blows everything out of the water. They've been targeted by someone all too familiar with Pennyroyal's murky past. But who would dare? There's only one way to find out, and the road ahead is dangerous. But as Small Hope likes to say, when things are bad, make them worse. It is 440 pages, and I am very intrigued. I own the first book, so I need to get on that. I'm not going to lie, the next book is, I absolutely love the cover. It releases the 11th of August. This is The Matchmaker's Cottage by Kate Sloan. It is 400 pages. I love the cover of this book. I don't know anything about it, the author, content, anything. Julia Schaefer might run the most romantic little bed and breakfast in upstate New York, but as far as that infuriating Ethan Duchamp is concerned, this older, wiser Julia has a strict no vacancy policy. Sure, she's teetering on the edge of a financial cliff, and his half-baked plan to pair up his celebrity clients at her inn will undoubtedly be good for business, but how much forced proximity with the man who abandoned her is she supposed to take? Ethan needs this to work. This dreamy, autumnal, and blissfully secluded cottage from his childhood summers is the ideal setting for playing matchmaker to Hollywood's next power couple. It's the only way to save his PR career from the tabloid toilet. He knew that the inn and Julia's warm, comforting homemade touch would inspire real feelings. He just didn't expect them to be his. Again. But as old wounds reopen and their connection rekindles, Julia and Ethan are forced to confront the truth they've both tried to bury. In a town where nothing stays hidden for long, they'll have to decide if they can rebuild what was lost, or if their second chance will be derailed by scars that have yet to heal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the fifth book in the Scottish Isle Mystery Series by Lucy Conley. It releases August 11th. This is Death at a Scottish Halloween. It is 253 pages. The Lucy Conley series would have fit perfectly in the video about places with a strong sense of place. So, okay. When Dr. Amelia McElroy stumbles upon a dead body in a haunted house, she resolves to find the killer before another body can fall. Halloween isn't the only cause for fright in this fifth Scottish Isle mystery. It is the week of Halloween, or as they say in Scotland, All Hallows Eve. And the town of Sea Isle is full of spooky celebrations. Dr. Amelia McElroy loves being part of her new community and is eager to help out in any way she can. But the festivities are interrupted when she and her assistant Abigail find a dead body in a haunted house. A real one. They're too late to save the victim, but they'll do whatever it takes to find his killer. There's just one problem. There are too many suspects. Constable Ewan would prefer the good doctor and her friend stay out of the investigation, but that isn't how Dr. M rolls. As she and her gang investigate, they realize the killer is searching for something and has no problem murdering anyone who gets in the way of finding it. Dr. M must stay one step ahead if she is to survive this Halloween season alive. Either that, or she might just end up the next victim. And I'm sure my library will get that, so no problems there. Next up would be The Tailor by Tim Sullivan. This is a D.S. George Cross mystery. It is book 7. It is 352 pages. I'm not going to read the description because I'm actively reading this series. I will read the tagline, however. Measure twice, cut once. All I need to know. Okay. Next up, also releasing the 11th of August, is The Dungeon Book by Gareth Hanrahan. And this is 512 pages. It is fantasy, and it sounds so good. A young girl is left to die in a wizard's dungeon, but finds a new home with the monsters around her in this humorous and heartfelt standalone epic fantasy. Enter the world of Dungeons and Dragons, magic and manticores, and goblins and gargoyles. Bate doesn't remember a time before the dragon stole her from her cot. She doesn't know what her name was before she was handed over to the monstrous denizens of the dungeon beneath the sorcerer's tower. Luckily for Bate, they decided not to eat her, and so she grew up in the dark. The goblins her adopted family, a vengeful minotaur her protector, a sentient skull her tutor, and a blob of corridor slime her main source of nutrition. But the labyrinth dungeon is haunted, with its haunted halls, buried temples, and forgotten magics, draws treasure hunters like moths to a flame. And as the outside world starts to intrude, Bate will learn what it means to be monstrous, and she will have to decide where she truly belongs. That sounds good to me. Releasing the 13th of August is The Little Porto Book Club by Rebecca Raisin. And this one is page count 384 pages. And I will read you the description. In a city full of stories, can't she write her own? Introvert and self-described whodunit enthusiast, Vivian has never much believed in living life outside the pages of a book. But when her interfering mother insists that Vivian needs some friends who aren't fictional, she decides to head into the beautiful, bustling streets of Porto in search of her community. What better place to start than by reading her favorite mystery in the corner of a little-known cafe? But when one, then two, and then outrageously 6 other people decide to join her silent book club, Vivian realizes she is firmly out of her depth. There's Thomas, a middle-aged man hiding his love for romance novels. Lucinda, a chic 60-something with a penchant for Christie. And then there's Tiago, the hot alpha male of every romance novelist's dreams. But when one of these newfound friends disappears from the book club without a word, will the community come together to find their fellow lost soul? And will Vivian find love along the way? Okay, up next would be Murder on Charity Lane. This is a Marigold Cottages mystery. It is the second one. It releases the 18th of August. It is by Joe Nichols and it is 352 pages. Months after the shocking murders at Marigold Cottages, eccentric landlady Mrs. B finds the peace and quiet a little too peaceful. That's why she invites her young friend C.J. Moore to move into the now vacant cottage. C.J. is a suspect in the death of her employer, a wealthy Santa Barbara philanthropist who tumbled down the stairs of his mansion during a dinner party. The dead man's much younger widow claims she saw C.J. push him. But Mrs. B is certain that she is innocent. Why? Oh, just a feeling. That's enough for her to summon the Marigold Cottage Murder Collective. Lillian will marshal the facts. Hamilton will dig around online. Sophia and Nicholas will offer eyewitness testimony. And everyone will hope that the ocean keeps Mrs. B out of trouble. Just as the tenants begin to suspect that Elsa is in fact the perpetrator, there's a second murder, a bloodier one. And with their tight-knit community in the crosshairs, they must prove her innocence or accept her guilt. I need to listen to the first book. Okay. This one is releasing August 11th. That was out of order. I apologize. This is 1,000 Painted Hours by Barbara O'Neill. It does not have a page count yet. And is historical fiction. In the shadow of the London Blitz, Artist Elsie Turner clings fiercely to her canvases, refusing to let war dim the colors that define her. The bombs test her nerve, but the struggle also stirs memories of her golden youth in India and the long lost love of her life. The daughter of a British civil servant in the Himalayan station of Nainital, Elsie crosses cultural divides to forge an unlikely bond with Tabnir Singh, a Sikh prince with hopes, dreams, and a far-reaching ideas. What begins as shared sketchbooks and stargazing becomes first love and a secret correspondence. When Elsie's father is summoned to England, Elsie is severed from the world she knows, and she is determined to preserve it through both her art and a connection with Tabnir that endures through the most tumultuous years of their lives. Across 4 decades and 2 continents, Elsie navigates a journey from lush colonial India to war-torn London, amid landscapes of beauty, protest, and peril. As past and present collide, the most impossible choices and sacrifices are yet to be made in the name of love, war, and survival. Okay, up next is For Services Rendered by Will Thomas. It releases the 18th of August and is 312 pages. It is the 17th book of the Baker and Llewellyn series, and it is a historical mystery. In 1896, Dr. Sun Yat-sen would be a reformer and revolutionary. Turns up in London, running away from China's imperial Kwang Secret Service, who has placed a substantial bounty on his head for his political activities. Captured by those agents, he is imprisoned in the Chinese embassy until he can be smuggled back to China to face execution. In the meantime, private inquiry agents Cyrus Barker and Thomas Llewellyn receive the unbelievable news that Sebastian Nightwine is both alive and in London. Not just that, it seems he's taking action against Barker and his close associates. At the same time, they've been hired to find this missing Sun Yat-sen, with elements of the Chinese Secret Service, elements of the British government, and Nightwine himself all working against them. Barker and Llewellyn are at risk of being cornered by the releasing the 18th of August. This is How to Find Romance in a Bookshop by Poppy Alexander. It is 352 pages, and I'll read you the description. Petra doesn't like books anymore. Not since her career as a literary agent imploded after a social media typo went viral. Now she is stuck for 6 months babysitting a little bookshop by the sea, surrounded by the books that just remind her of her failure. Ross McLeod's award-winning debut novel blew the minds of the world's literati. But that was 5 years ago. Now Ross and his keenly awaited second work have vanished. Something has gone wrong, horribly wrong, and Ross doesn't want to talk about it. Marooned in Capel-Thorne's bookshop, miles from London, Petra can't stop thinking about all the ways she has let people down. Then she discovers Ross, lurking, incognito, in the secondhand book section. Misery loves company, it seems, and the kinship tentatively forms. In the meantime, the magic of the bookshop slowly begins to enchant Petra. Soon her book recommendations assume legendary status. She is chairing the newly formed Beach Reads book club, leading a weekly writing group, and hosting a series of popular talks and signings by local authors. She's even starting to read again. Petra is also finding the time to help her new best friend Jess, owner of a local telephone box library, to launch the inaugural Portneuf Literary Festival. What better opportunity to put the festival on the map, says Ross, than for Petra to unveil his second novel to the world there, before relaunching her career representing him at the Frankfurt Book Fair. Want to come back? But can Petra find the courage to help the man she loves? Their love of books may be reignited, but is that enough to save them both from their own worst enemy, themselves? Yes, please. Up next, releasing the 18th of August. We all know I'm going to read this. This is the 22nd book in the Cork O'Connor series by William Kent Kruger, God's Country. I'm going to read a very, very small bit. It's 256 pages, by the way. Cork O'Connor, preparing for a family trip into the Boundary Waters, is troubled by ominous visions about his future. Ignoring the warnings, he uncovers signs of violence while searching for his missing friend, Cordell Bishop. Soon, he is forced to negotiate with dangerous criminals, the Kennedy brothers, who are seeking their late father's hidden stash. I don't want to know anymore. We all know I'm going to read that. I'm probably going to read it in August. As soon as I can get a hold of it, I am going to read that book. Okay. Releasing on the 25th of August at 301 pages. This is The Dog Park Murders by Angela Barker. And I will read you the description. Juliet McIntyre has never met a dog she didn't love. For one thing, dogs don't judge, unlike the human residents of Labrador Falls. Most locals look at her with suspicion because her father was once a dirty cop, even though Juliet is upbeat, helpful, and the best pet groomer around. She just needs to prove it. Starting with new resident Joel Cunningham, an enigma wrapped in a check shirt and a scowl. Joel runs Brood Awakening Cafe, where the coffee is as smooth as Joel is surly. He doesn't serve pumpkin spice, he doesn't chit-chat, and he claims he doesn't like dogs. Yet, when Juliet stumbles upon a dead body in the dog park, strangled with one of her custom leashes, Joel becomes an unexpected ally. He has no intention of opening up to either his cute neighbor or the foster pup she foists on him. But he can't let a biased detective frame Juliet for murder. Whoever killed the widely loathed Maurice Alsop may be desperate enough to strike again. If they can just ignore their chemistry and focus on the clues, Juliet and Joel might be able to solve the case before somebody else bites the dust. Also on the 25th of August, this would be The Silent Appeal by Janice Hallett. I'm not going to read a lot because obviously I'm going to read this one too. It is 448 pages. Welcome back to Lower Lockwood. The Fairway Players return with Sarah Jane and Kevin MacDonald as committee chairs. This year, they have chosen to stage Agatha Christie's The Hollow. But auditions aren't the only problem. Sarah Jane's sister, Nikki Rose, is suddenly back in town under mysterious circumstances, having sold her home in Barbados, left her business providing entertainment on cruise ships, and moved back into their mother, Carol's house. That's all I need to know. The first book is The Witness. It is absolutely fabulous. It's epistolary. Just go read it. Just go read it. You'll be very happy. Okay. Also on the 25th is Murder at Rosecliff by Alyssa Maxwell. This is the 14th book in the Gilded Newport Mystery Series. It is a whopping 304 pages. August 1903. Emma and her husband Derek are among the men in white tie and tails and the women wearing white gowns from the House of Worth at Tessie Ulrich's Bal Blanc, or White Ball, at Rosecliff, her grand cottage on Bellevue Avenue. There to cover the event of the season is young Ethan Merriman, society reporter for the Newport Messenger, the newspaper owned by Emma and Derek. It is an utterly charming affair until a stranger intrudes flaunting a green striped necktie and matching vest in defiance of their hostess's theme. But his fashion crime is a mere misdemeanor compared to his attention to blackmail Mrs. Ulrich's by producing a compromising document supposedly signed by Tessie over a decade ago. Insisting it's a forgery but terrified of a scandal, she agrees to his terms. But the blackmailer will not live to see a payday. His body is found face down in a fountain before the party's end. Beside him stands a very wet Ethan, who is just seen being confronted by the man earlier in the evening. Coming to the aid of their luckless cub reporter, Emma and Derek must sort through the white lies and blackened reputations to discover the identity of the true killer. Okay. I'm going to skip that one. Up next is, okay, this is Agricola Conqueror by Simon Turney. It releases the 27th of August. It is 432 pages. As you can tell by the cover, it's historical fiction, and it is the fourth book in the Agricola series. I have not read any of it, but it sounds interesting. Following years of a distinguished military and political exploits, Agricola has been rewarded with control of Aquitania by the Emperor Vespasian. But Agricola's greatest glories have always come in that rainy northern corner of the empire, Britannia. When Vespasian sends him back to Britannia, this time as governor, he has a chance to cement his place in Roman history. To conquer Britannia completely, Agricola must overcome its many Celtic tribes. The Ordovices have massacred a Roman cavalry unit. The Sologova and Damanone, I am butchering names this afternoon, resist imperial rule fiercely, and he must take them on with ever fewer troops due to a series of changes at the heart of Roman power. Failure will mean a disgrace or death, but if he should succeed, Agricola will be forever lauded among the pantheon of Rome's heroes. Okay, last up, this releases the 25th of August, and that is slightly out of order. I apologize. This is 304 pages. Miss Morton Takes Waters by Catherine Lloyd. It is the fifth book in the Miss Morton series. And I'll read you the description. On the advice of her doctor, Mrs. Froggerton has arranged a visit to Bath to take the waters and regain her health and good spirits. While she reflects on her own next steps in light of her changing circumstances, Caroline goes with her to ensure the good lady's well-being. Daily life in Bath takes on a routine of its own, with visits to the spa interspersed with social occasions and new acquaintances, including a group of women who live on Queen Square and gather to drink tea, play cards, and gossip. When it comes to light that some of the ladies are recipients of poison pen letters, a rejuvenated Mrs. Froggerton offers to help. Sorting through the social dynamics of the group for motive and opportunity, she talks with the ladies while Caroline questions their companions. The situation becomes more grave when Lady Greatmere, the oldest and most unpleasant of the ladies, is discovered strangled in her own locked drawing room. A half-finished epistle on her dressing table suggesting she might be the author of the poisoned pen letters. As Lady Greatmere's companion falls under the suspicion of the Bath Constabulary, Caroline and Miss Froggerton attempt to read between the lines and force the killer to come clean. Okay, that sounds very interesting. Okay, those are all of the new August releases that caught my attention. Hopefully some of them caught your attention. Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. And I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.